Are you on?
Yes, sir.
Do I have to recall it to order?
Yes.
Or are we on?
No, go ahead and recall it.
Okay, let's call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome our guests. We have several here this morning. And I understand the ladies from the Border Patrol are here. If you guys would like to go first, and you want to make an introduction, correct?
Hi, good morning. Araceli Yanez. I'm with the Ranch Liaison Unit, Border Community Liaison Unit, and I was just going to introduce my new partner, Amy Olivas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm new to the unit, and it's good to be here and meet you all. We're just going to sit in and kind of take notes and just see how this works.
Well, you'll be bored to death. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Happy to have you.
And they work real close with us. They come and visit with us often and work real close with Pete and some of the other supervisors out in the field on any issues.
We appreciate it. Any cooperation, that's great. And then we have let me ask the guys about, y'all have anything to say this morning, Robert, or?
I'll save it for next month, how's that?
That's good. I'm gonna be gone next month. That'll be good. Okay, then we have representatives of the West Star Bank, William Brady, Rose and Gonzalez, and somebody else too, right?
Colleen Marusic.
And say it again?
Colleen
Colleen.
Marusic.
Okay, well, welcome, guys. They wanted to make a little presentation, I think, this morning, so whoever wants to take the floor, they're going to tell us how to manage our wealth. The thing we lack is wealth.
Well, thank you so much on behalf of West Star Bank. We really appreciate the opportunity to present to the board today. Very brief presentation in the interest of your time, but I think some information that you might find valuable as we move forward. And you should have a presentation in front of you, and I'll also be controlling it up on the screen here. But I want to give you an overview of what we do at West Star in regard to wealth management and how we might be able to help and enhance the relationship with the water district. So jumping right in terms of West Star Wealth Management, we were founded in 2001. The bank was founded actually 26 years ago, but the Wealth Management Division in 2001. We presently have approximately $450 million of assets under management. Our local team of professionals span 13 people and have an average experience of 30 years in the business. So a very deep experience in the field. We have, in addition to being a community bank who is dedicated to delivering the personal touch and being able to meet with you personally, a tremendous wealth of resources. And so that's represented by these little dots here that are on the screen, one of which is Rogers Casey. On the right-hand side of the page there, Rogers Casey is an investment consulting firm. Rogers Casey provides to us a team of economists and analysts that are constantly at our disposal. They have 10 offices around the globe. They have a number of people that have boots on the ground all over the world, and they give to us the resource of a large institution, but again, we have the personal touch that a community bank can only provide. So it's really the best of both worlds in that regard, the world-class resources with the local touch. Oops. Jumping to the next page, wanted to give you an idea of how we manage money in terms of our investment philosophy. Right at the top of the page there, first and foremost is the concept of fiduciary oversight. That means that in everything that we do, we must always act in the best interest of our clients. So we're never motivated by transaction, by commission, or anything like that. In fact, we receive no commissions on anything that we do. It's all an asset-based fee. So there's never a conflict of interest. And that eliminating of conflict of interest really, I think, is a benefit to our clients. They never have to worry about if we're acting in their best interest or in our own. Our compensation doesn't change regardless of what we do. The second element there is risk management. We focus just as much on the risk side of the equation as on the return side, and which is, especially at these volatile times, very important. Oftentimes, discussions with prospective managers of your wealth may center around what the returns have been, which is always an important discussion to have, but it has to incorporate a discussion about risk. And we want to minimize the risk as much as possible in everything that we do. We do that through appropriate asset allocation and diversification techniques, as well as rigorous due diligence on everything that we do. Cost control, also very, very important. We want to make sure we minimize costs at every level in the relationship. Tax management may or may not apply. We do the same kind of work for both institutions, governmental entities, and individuals. And so depending on the client we're dealing with, we have the ability to customize tax strategies. And then finally, monitoring and performance reporting. We want to have regular meetings so that we can update our clients with the progress of our relationship and ensure that we're achieving what we set out to achieve at the beginning. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's about providing a prudent process and not pushing a product. We never want to come to our clients with ideas to buy a product. It's let's design a prudent strategy based on your needs, goals, and objectives and fulfill that to the most effective way possible. One of the things that we understood the district may need help with is revising its investment policy statement. It's great that you have one, but we do think that we can add some value by updating it a little bit. I want to give you a quick overview of the importance of an investment policy statement. It's very important in that it helps to govern the overall management of the portfolio that you have here. Some of the elements are listed on the right-hand side in terms of best practices. So we are experts in helping to design investment policy statements for our clients, and so we would be happy to help you to update that and incorporate some of these best practice elements. Some of the benefits of having one are that they are portable. So if we helped you to update your investment policy, and at some point you decided to end your relationship with Westar and move it with to somebody else, it would be portable. So the next manager could pick up right where we left off very easily. And so we would help with that. It's educational for all parties involved. They can read that and identify what we're doing and why we're doing it. The risk management aspect should be incorporated to make sure that we're minimizing risk. Keeps everybody focused. Again, especially in volatile times, one can lose sight of the focus of the long-term aspect of the investment strategy of the account. Makes things very efficient, because again, everybody's on the same page at all times. Provides clarification. If ever there's any questions, we should be able to go to the investment policy and determine the answer to the questions if it's written effectively. And then finally, streamlining transition. So if board members were to come on and other board members were to drop off, new board members could pick up right where the last ones left off by reading the investment policy. So these are all the things that we want to focus on when designing that. Now, in terms of the current strategy, I want to give you some observations. So as you know, we're subject to the Texas Government Code, Chapter 2256, which gives us a restricted opportunity set. In other words, there's a very limited class of investments in which we can invest, which is primarily limited to CDs, Treasury, and agency bonds. All investment grade, all relatively short-term fixed income obligations. The challenge with that is that presently we're in this low interest rate environment. Now we expect that interest rates will begin to increase over time, but it probably won't be rapidly, and it probably won't be within the next even year or two. So during that period, what can we do within the scope of the law to enhance our return? Well, one of the things that we can do is to revise the investment policy to allow investments beyond CDs, which is presently what we're limited to, and to incorporate things like Treasury bonds and agency bonds. So essentially, these are CDs that are issued by U.S. government and governmental agencies, and a little bit longer term, but give you a little bit extra yield. What's the extra yield looking like? Well, as of November 8th, Treasury bonds on a 1 to 3 year maturity schedule were yielding about 99 basis points. Agency bonds, which are quasi-governmental entities, they're backed by the government, even though they're not technically governmental entities, are yielding 1.13% on the 1 to 3 year scale. Now, if you were to look at CDs at present, in that same time frame, it would be much less than that. Probably even under 0.5%. So this is just to demonstrate that as you go further out on the maturity scale, the higher yield you can expect to get. And so on the opposite end of the scale, if you went up 7 to 10 years, you could be looking at 182 in treasuries and 215 on an agency bond. So we wouldn't ever recommend, of course, putting all your money in a 7 to 10 year bond. What we want to do is kind of customize a strategy and build out along this spectrum and match any cash flow needs that might be needed. We can adjust maturities to cash flow needs. All of these investments are liquid as well, so should extra cash ever be needed, we can sell them and the money would be available to you directly. So in this managed portfolio, we can customize the maturity schedule, we can get you some additional yield at a very reasonable cost. And so some of the benefits of this managed portfolio are, in addition to these enhanced projected returns, that extends to taxpayer savings, really. At the end of the day, the more that we're able to generate from the investment portfolio, the less responsibility is on the taxpayer's back. So I think that's very important. Again, advising on the investment policy statement to generate an opportunity to extend the returns and minimize risk. Again, managing the maturity schedule and liquidity. We can also facilitate the raising of cash, as I mentioned, but we can also have sub-accounts. So should any particular projects come up where you wanted to designate a certain amount of money for a particular project, we could create a sub-account, move that money into that sub-account, and not really have to modify the top level account, but the bottom account can be managed specifically in relation to that specific product. So that's something we can also do. And for this service, we would propose a fee of 50 basis points per year. So this is the fee that we typically charge on a portfolio of this nature. And it's, I think you'd find very reasonable and very competitive in the marketplace for this kind of strategy. Just as an example, let's assume that if we took on the maturity spectrum between the 3, 5 year and 5 and 7 year, and we expected to generate approximately 1.5%, the net effect would be approximately a 1% return on your bonds, and 1% yield. And so, again, that's above and beyond what prevailing rates are in CDs at present. Now, as fiduciaries, we will always maintain an eye on what's best for you, and so if at some point CDs become the better option, we could go back into CDs, and we would recommend that. At present, it looks like the best option to generate additional yield would be expanding out to treasuries and agencies. The next slide I included just for informational purposes. Oftentimes, people think that bonds are essentially equal. They're just safe money. But there are a number of risks we have to monitor constantly, and these are all the risks that we have to continually monitor. Now, in a relationship of this nature, we're going to be primarily concerned with credit risk, which is on the top line there. Again, limiting ourselves to only government and agencies, very low credit risk, but we have to make sure that we stay within that investment grade field. And of course, interest rate risks. If we do think interest rates are going to rise, we want to maintain a shorter term maturity structure so that as they mature, we can reinvest in higher rates. And so that's something that we probably want to take a look at doing as well. And finally, and I know I'm going through this very quickly, want to be sensitive to your time, but I think some of the benefits that we bring to the table and that result in our clients feeling very satisfied with the service they're getting are as follows. So again, we have that fiduciary guidance, always acting in your best interest at all times, eliminating conflicts of interest. We have unbiased advice and full transparency, so you will be fully apprised of everything we're doing at all times and make sure that you can rest assured that everything will be transparent and never any conflicts of interest. We have this risk-managed discipline philosophy. We're always focusing just as much on risk as on the return side. We have the world-class resources of a large institution with the local team of professionals with the depth and breadth of experience to deliver those resources with a personal touch. And then, while this last one doesn't apply to this relationship, again, coordinating multiple life stages in the individual space, we do this same kind of work for individuals. That's something that is listed there as well. Are there any questions? Again, I know I went through that really quickly. Yes, sir.
I'm an attorney. You say apparently that you're aware we are a political subdivision, this district is.
Yes.
We're comparable to the county in all respects. So we're not going to be hiring a trustee. We buy CDs on the market as short-term investments, basically. Ms. Cortez is the CFO of this district, and she makes decisions and takes bets, so that we'll be selecting, in all probability, CD-type investments on a bid basis. That is to say, if your bid pays the highest interest among the several banks that have bid, we will normally go with you. How come you're paying all this money for these wealth advisors if you got A.R. Miller III
I see that. There's a couple of other ones too.
Yeah, there's a few others you can do.
And have you heard this morning that President-elect the President-elect is pressing Janet Yellen and the Federal Reserve Board to up the interest rate if they're meeting in December?
number one, we can function as an agent, so we don't have to be trustee. We can construct a portfolio for you as a simple investment agency, as opposed to having to be a trustee of any sort. So, and secondly, yes, the election was the major factor moving in the marketplace right now, and now that that's finished, a lot of interesting things. Yeah, well, interestingly, so, you know, as Director of Investments for Westar Bank, I follow this stuff, I live and breathe it 24 hours a day. And so I think it was at midnight, I sent a text message to my colleague Colleen and my boss, Joe, and let them know that at that time, the Dow futures were locked limit down, meaning that upon the market open today, the markets were going to be down, it looked like 800 plus points. However, that has actually done much better. The market at present, it's going back and forth between about positive 70 to negative 50. It's kind of hovering around that, just say flat, if you will. So I think the market's actually internalizing this much better than many might have otherwise expected. In terms of what the Fed's going to do, I think it still becomes pretty clear that if things should hold as they are today, they're likely to hike a quarter point in December, which we were expecting before. So that's not a change in what we were thinking about the day before yesterday. We do think the general trend is going to be a steady increase in interest rates. And as that extends to bonds and CDs, we will definitely maintain an eye on which area is best to be and which area is best to avoid. With the tools we have available to us by law, it's going to be a situation where you're not going to be as effective as maybe some other institutions might be, in the sense that, for example, we have other clients who have an ability to go anywhere and do anything in the markets and have a heavy weighting towards, say, corporate bonds or even international bonds. A lot more to look at in that kind of a relationship. This one, we're going to maintain shorter-term treasury agency stuff at the max. And so that will be effective, and we will maintain a close eye on how to best position ourselves within that framework. But you know, the tools we have to work with will be maturing in relatively short order and will be reinvested at higher rates as that happens.
Well, we thank you guys for coming in and explaining your program, and of course, Mary and Chewy are the ones you'll be dealing with most, and if they see something that should be of interest, well, they'll bring it to the board and we'll go from there. But we do appreciate your time and effort to come in this morning and advise us of your program. And of course, our interest is always in the best of things. Our interest is in, I'm searching for a word here, we're always doing it for our taxpayers, for the best interest of the taxpayers, because that's our charge here. So whatever is out there, if there's something that's better for the taxpayers, we'll certainly consider it. So Mary and Judy will visit with you guys, and you can show them whatever you suggest, and we'll go from there. And of course, the bottom line is, are we really making any more money yet?
Definitely.
You got to do the math.
Exactly.
That's always the bottom line.
And I would say that in our fiduciary capacity, there have been instances with other municipality entities where we've suggested that they actually don't come with us. So that fiduciary duty to do what's best for our clients extends beyond an actual paid relationship. It extends even to now, before we're being paid for any kind of service, to recommend what's best in our view for you. And so if it turned out that that looked like what was best is to stay where you were at, we definitely recommend as well.
Okay, well, we appreciate y'all coming in.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all don't want to stay around and be bored to death?
I'm sure it's not.
You can go back to the bank and be bored to death.
There are a lot of calls. Thank you so much.
Next item of business, minutes for the meeting of October the 20th. Item 4. In your packet, are there any additions or corrections? I wasn't here, so I don't have an opinion. Well, I have an opinion, but I can't express it. Well, did a lot of work. You got Any additions or corrections? If not, I entertain a motion to approve them as presented. Okay, now makes a motion. Is there a second? Larry? Okay, been moved and seconded. We approve the minutes of the meeting of October 20th, 2016. All in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, Mary, you're on. Excuse me.
Based upon that presentation, if we do decide to go with these treasury bonds, we would have to come back with the board to make an adjustment or revision on the investment policy, because at this time it just states certificates of deposit.
This has come up almost every year when I think, and I ask, and I think Jim says aren't we told by TCEQ what we can do and what we can't do?
That we can follow, let's see, a Texas government code in regards to investments, and there are a list of.
And T-bonds are allowed.
Correct. Of course, the district sets their, what they decide they would like to invest in, which is the investment policy. So if we decide to go with these treasury bonds, then a revision would have to be made to include treasury bonds investment policy.
Okay. Yeah, because I've asked a couple of times, you know, it seemed like there was always some restriction, but T-bonds are allowed. So we just need a board resolution allowing you guys to consider those. Because our current policy does not.
Our current policy only states certificate of deposits.
Okay. Okay.
You may want to consider the terms on that sort of thing, because if you buy a bond that has, say, a 7-year maturity with a fairly low rate as we have now, if these interest rates climb, if there was anything bond that will down, bond, you're at risk to lose principal on the bond itself. So.
Well, you're not gonna get the Federal Reserve to make bids on selling you.
Right, we're going to be buying it on the secondary market.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And at
So
this
maybe
time,
that's-
our certificate of deposits run from a year to 3 years. We've never gone any further.
Right. And more than likely, you wouldn't do that on a bond, but it's like Phil said, if the interest rate does increase, your bond value will go down. So
And
we'll be
it's stated-
dealing in the secondary market, basically.
And it's stated on the investment policy right now for the certificate of deposits of the maximum amount of years to invest.
See, we don't trade any investments. We don't trade CDs with anybody. We hold our CDs to maturity, and she solicits bids in the event she needs to purchase some new CDs.
So are you saying that if we bought a bond and we saw something we could not bail out of it early, we'd have to hold it to maturity?
Well, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, we don't engage in market trading of any kind of investment, no CD, and certainly no bond. I see.
Well, you can
In
cash
the old
your,
days, you used to be able to go into the Federal Reserve, and you just, you could, every
Walk
week,
up to the
you
window,
could
yeah.
buy treasury bills and treasury notes. You can't do that anymore.
we can cash in our CDs, or you take a penalty, you can do the same thing with a bond, you can put them out for sale and take whatever you get for them. It's a lot more risky, although it's the least risky of all investments probably in the long run, but there is a risk involved where a CD, there's not. We've always been pretty conservative in that matter, but y'all look and see, we don't know until, if they come up with some good ideas, it may help us. But I suspect in the long run, the difference in the amount you're gonna gain weighed against the risk that you'll be taking will be minimal unless the market changes substantially now, because the differential between 0.99 and 0.31 is not much, and they're charging 0.5. So you understand what I'm saying? With the markets as low as it is, there's not a lot of differential. So, and if the CDs go up,
Well, I think what Mary's asking, I think they talked to these people that are recommending they put some of this money in bonds right now. They need a change in
I figured
policy.
they would, but,
They need a change in policy from the board.
well, we need to look at it, and you need to bring figures to us. If we do this, how much is it gonna make us? I suspect it's not gonna be a lot of money for the risk, is what I'm saying. You just have to do the math. In every investment you do, you have to do the math and see is the risk worth it. CDs are sure. Well, they say they're sure. They're sure if the bank doesn't go broke, but then you're still, they're guaranteed so much by the government that you go try and collect it. So, but that's the main thing. Is it really worth changing to go through all the trouble? And are you gonna really make anything? Let them, explain something. We don't ever wanna not avail ourselves as a district to looking at opportunities, but we've gotta make sure that the opportunities are gonna pay money, really make a difference. But bring it to it. We don't wanna be, I didn't hear the question.
That's all right. I think Mary was bringing something to us today. Are you bringing something to us today on that? On one of the T-notes or T-lines?
It was a presentation and also to see if we would like to go that route. But like Mr. Stubb had stated, we can always come back and see if these calculations, it really will be making more than what we are right now.
And the bottom line is, are you gonna make any money?
Correct.
You have to look at all the costs, and see, whenever he's talking about 0.5%, that's of the whole portfolio. Not just of the investment, so whatever you put in the deal, you just have to do the math. And you gotta look at all the different.
But we weren't ready to ask you all for a vote. You just wanted the presentation and then direction.
If y'all have,
Okay.
if you do something, figure out, it looks like a good deal, bring it. Because there's a lot of intricacies in all of these deals.
Especially
But
bonds.
you have to look at the minutia,
Rates go
the
down.
little stuff. The devil's in the details, in all kinds of deals. I'm not saying that they're not good, but you have to do the math. Sorry. Y'all go ahead. Where were we in the scheduled investments, or?
Yes.
Because I missed your question, I'm sorry, I didn't, that you had a.
I just had stated that if we do decide to go this route, we would have to revise the investment policy for the district.
There's another call, that'd take 6 months and no, I'm kidding. All right, we got the schedule of investments. I got one earning 0.6, and it sounds like me like, and let me tell you something else, these CDs from the banks are not going to grow as fast as whatever Mr. Trump has the Federal Reserve doing. Okay, until the loan demand gets up, the banks don't need a lot of money. That's the reason they're not paying a lot of money. So there's a lot of things involved beside, markets and stuff. So it has to do with local businesses. And that may be the reason that a bond portfolio might make us a little bit more, but we just have to see. Excuse me, go ahead. Any questions of the schedule of investments?
Just to let you all know, our auditors were here doing our inventory end of year count. Everything seemed to go smoothly, and we will be back again for the actual site audit at the beginning of December.
All right, okay. Now that we finally got our accounting procedure data on our balance sheet. Any questions on the balance sheet? Anybody? Cash flow budget performance.
Okay, the only question I have there, I assume, is that third-party implement and the drain maintenance, those two balances. We're still waiting on some drain maintenance fees,
Yes.
and we have not received them.
No, sir.
Not yet, we're close to finishing out that,
So they're gonna show them this next year's financial.
yes.
It looks like a mini budget.
Are we lacking, what, about 2 million in the drain maintenance?
Yes.
Okay, so just so I can kind of figure where we're gonna be, because that takes out the 1.6 you show on your budget, so that's good. Okay. That's the only question I have.
Correct, and our expense side, we did come below a projected budget.
Yes, you did really well.
Yeah, you were, if I understood right, you underspent by $1,600,000. All right?
Now they underspent by 300,000.
Correct. The 1.6 is the difference
The
between
1.6
the
is
revenue
all
and the
because we're
income.
lacking that 2 million, approximately 2 million from the city, from the drain maintenance.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why that figure looks so bad. It's not that bad.
Any other questions? $500 check detail report.
You all had a question in regards to the Rio Second. There's another payment on the $500 report.
Okay?
And the breakdown is the 2,000 for the 2-day development on the one well. And then there's also additional development time hours that we have to pay if it takes them longer than expected.
Okay. This video looks like maybe a high number. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And then on page 2, since we were talking about the auditors, they did charge us a little extra for going back and forth on that
Exactly, correct.
issue.
Well, just don't pay it.
What issue was that?
The one you brought up on the,
Well, it wasn't just Jim, it was me too. I never did think it was right for the last 3 or 4 years. In spite of what our engine accountant knows that believe. Is he asleep? He must be, I didn't get him.
That muted.
He didn't move.
so the actual bill, I think it's, what, 24,000
24.
is what they charge us for the audit, and that additional, was,
$38.95.
They should have charged us anything, he's hard-headed, but whatever. We got it done.
On the bottom of that page, that Mitchell one, what is an equipment manual subscription? Is that something that are we using our shop? for?
Yes.
yes, for the mechanics,
Okay, all right. Is that a yearly?
yes,
They keep you updated yearly?
yes. And we do have budgeted every year.
You had a couple of church who can't meet.
Yes, that was on an EEO complaint that we got that was ruled in our favor. That CB Burns handled
I was gonna say, is that who handled it?
it. Yes.
That 44176, we had another accident, streamlining Holland collision.
Yes, that,
Did you say
unit 7.
7B.
That was damage done by one of our employees.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It's a backup.
And our accident review committee has handled it and disciplined and reimbursed. Arrangements have been made.
somebody asked about the Konica copier buyout, I didn't understand all that stuff.
Yeah. That was it's a new contract that Mary Lisa and Ruben worked on, our copy machines and all our printers. And so the company that we've gone through bought out the old contract, they paid for it,
Okay.
and they've reimbursed us.
And who's
Correct,
the
Mary?
new guy?
We've already received that, Mary?
Yes,
And
Who's the new company?
it's
Canon.
Canon. And so now we have a standard printer for all the employees, and we don't have to carry the cartridges anymore,
Oh, wow.
which that was a big expense for us, housing them, carrying them, and keeping them in the warehouse. And then we were having the problems that by the time you would go and draw a cartridge when you needed one, they were dried out. So with this new contract that Mary put together, they furnish the cartridges, and what we do is we'll call them when we're starting to run low, and they'll bring one in, right?
And also maintain
The
the
equipment.
printers and copies.
Uh-huh. So we're quite happy, plus we saved some money off that other contract that we had.
Great. That's great. And on the bottom of page 4, somebody asked about David Fuller's check. You had to reissue it. He lost it or what?
Yes, they never received the checks, so I had to go ahead and place a spot payment request on and reissue.
Did y'all mail it in Tornado? That happens to me all the time.
Sounds to me like a personal problem. I don't know, why don't you read it?
Go give him another.
Tell him thanks.
As a payment issued in May, and this, up until this date, have not received payment.
Wow, okay.
Will we have a use for him if we go before the federal court in this far as evaluations go?
Not sure.
Not sure how it'll work.
And, you know, he has a certain ability that most of these real estate appraisers don't have.
Well, yeah, I know, he's not a real estate appraiser, but I don't know whether that's according to the chairman of our committee up there, or commission, or whatever it was, his testimony wasn't allowed, is it in federal court? So that's another question.
I see what you're saying, yeah. Well, he invested his time and effort, I think you'd have to pay him.
Well, of
even
course,
though-
no, of course we'd have to do that.
Even though we didn't get to put him on the witness stand.
Yeah, I know. Okay, credit card report, any questions with that? On the legal and consulting fee budget, I would suggest that nobody look at that.
Who would mold?
Oh my gosh,
Mops.
this has been a year.
He's the attorney that was handling the state case, the appeal
It's been a little bit over a
on
year.
the state case. And Phil was working.
And what has happened on that is that that appeal has just been dismissed because the case went into federal court, it was removed.
Well, it's abated, it's not dismissed.
No, it's dismissed, flat out dismissed.
Whatever it is, it's not working right now.
It's frozen.
It's frozen in time. Hopefully forever. Hopefully we prevail and where we are, and his motion to remand is not granted. All right, any other questions of Mary? Well, let her off easy. Okay, Rose, you're on.
Good morning. The first item would be review tax report and adjustments. There are no adjustments.
No, we did, I saw that.
Our next report is the 2013, 14, 15, 16 El Paso Public Service Board assignment. We're almost completing 4 years that we're working with the Public Service Board and soliciting water rights. Presently, we have processed 1,486 leases, collected 148,600 in processing fees, and collected in delinquent taxes a total of $30,865.48.
Okay, Roseanne, once more, the water rights don't move anywhere, and that's from one piece to another. And what we're collecting from the city is on a contract basis, which is that they may pay the taxes, but that's between them and the landowner.
Yes, sir. Our next report is the 2015 and 16 Lower Valley Water District assignments. Presently, we have processed 365 leases, excuse me, and collected 36,500 in processing fees, and not collected the legal taxes. Lower Valley is still not paying the legal taxes. The next report is a comparison between 2014 and 2015 tax assessment and charges. November 2016, we collected 98.560% versus last year, November 2015, we were at 98.4063%.
Still ahead.
Well, now, what we're doing here, we're actually, you're assessing the taxes for this fiscal year.
This,
As you said,
no, this, exactly, I just said.
because you've got this set up as a tax roll, all the directors are signing it.
Sir, no, we're not there yet.
No,
Oh, okay.
that's the last
We're looking at the
item, that's
comparison.
certified
Oh,
the tax roll.
Okay, I see.
That's the last item.
Our next item is on the tax suits. We have presently 130 tax suits. 59 of those have been paid in full. And just to give you an update, there were 59 that have been paid in full pending non-suit. We've been working with a law firm, and we've been updating this list. So we're going to be able to remove 12 of those. And that's due to non-suit. The suit was closed or judgment was released, and one property was actually sold at a tax sale.
You had to review it for them, huh? That comes to the big one.
You got the big one. Certifying the 2006 tax roll. That's the one we're looking at, Mr. Smith. And before I start, I want to say thank you to all departments. We got engineering, we got maintenance, we got operation, administration, you as a board members, and also our general manager. Without a teamwork, we wouldn't have accomplished.
We thank you because you're the captain of the team. You keep it all in
I
line.
do it by myself. So I recognize everybody.
I bet it takes a good captain. We appreciate
Thank
your
you, sir.
services, really.
Here we have the 2016 tax assessment and/or charges. We'll start with the accounting service charge. We're looking at $388,800. Exempt water allotment, $64,607.85. Exempt water non-allotment, $5,361.75. Tax assessment, $1,544,932.50. Water assessment allotment, $2,098,714.60. And water assessment non-allotment, $122,328.80, for a total assessment and charges $4,224,745.50. I, Roseanne Rodriguez, tax assessor collector for the El Paso County Water Improvement District, do hereby attest that the assessment and charges herein are true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief on this day, November 9th, 2016. And if I can get approval.
And do I hear a motion
Oh,
from the board?
no, I have a number of comments, Johnny.
You can do that after the motion and
No,
discussion.
you don't want a motion before you consider these things. I don't understand how exempt water can be taxing. If it's exempt, it's exempt, it's not a tax. And here you know that you got two categories of exempt water. I think what we're doing there is making a service charge.
But it doesn't say what it is.
On the exempt, it's the water charges.
It's just
Those
a
are
charge.
annual
It
contracts.
doesn't call it a tax or anything. The only tax assessment is there's one. The other is the exempt water. That's what we charge
Yes, sir.
for.
Well, this is a tax, this is, what you're doing is correct, if you say, you're gonna certify this as a tax roll.
It's
Now, on its face, something's that is exempt from tax, doesn't have a tax.
It's
So it
called,
ought to be here.
excuse me, Jim, it's called the 2016 tax assessments and/or charges. That's
Do
the
the
title.
and/or charges?
So
What
it's-
is exempt water?
A charge.
Allotment, and what is
It's an
exempt water?
allotment charge.
Non-allotment.
If somebody wants to know what that is, we'll define it. Come in and ask.
Those are, Mr. Steer, those are entities that sign annual contracts for allotment.
I'm sorry, for what?
Those are exempt entities that sign annual contracts.
The ones we have contracts for, and the ones
They're
that
not
don't-
assessed with taxes.
that are non-taxable.
Okay, what's the difference in the allotment and non-allotment?
It depends on the time of year that you
Yes, sir.
deliver it,
Yes, sir.
whether it's during the allotment season or the non-allotment
Yes,
season.
sir.
Okay,
Same
then you've
below.
got the tax assessment